Hello, Patriots. Good evening to everybody. It is Tuesday, and we are on at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know it's weird, but we got stuff to talk about. We're calling out the mainstream media tonight, you guys. So I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go ahead and hit the hearts and likes, smash the heart button, smash the like button, break the algorithms, share this. Everybody needs to hear it. Share it out there, you guys. Please, please. All right. I'm going to let a few people hop on. We got a Northern California deplorable here. Surely.
Just a basket full of them in Northern California.
Yes.
Hey,
Travis.
I just want to say right now, Northern California ought to be the 51st state in my view, but that's just me. What do I know?
Hello, everybody.
Hey, we got Maricopa, Arizona.
How you doing down there in Maricopa, Arizona there, Becky?
Praying for the audit. Jeff City, Missouri.
Texas.
Wow, we got Texas deplorable. Some of my favorite deplorables down there in Texas.
Yeah, we like Texas.
West Tennessee. All these places I've been. I love it. Memphis. Our friends from Missouri.
Malura.
Michigan, where they say
Ooh.
Charlotte instead of Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Oh, I love this country. I really do. Kaylee, let me ask
Buffalo,
you
New
something
York.
before we get started. How many times in my life have people asked me, where do you want to visit? If you could visit anywhere for vacation, where do you want to visit? And they're expecting Paris,
Right.
Hawaii. Well, Hawaii wouldn't be so bad, but Australia, Greece.
Somewhere outside of the United States.
Yeah. And what do I always say? Come on, the Southeast. I love the United States.
South Carolina.
I love South Carolina, Northern Florida, Georgia. Love.
I was like, oh my gosh, is he really asking me the one question I don't know the answer to? I know it's not anywhere outside the United States, so
hey, there's
I do
Oregon.
know that.
We've got Oregon. We were looking at Wilsonville, Oregon yesterday, just south of Portland.
Illinois.
Northwest
Got
Indiana.
a lot of Illinois on here tonight.
Yep. We do a lot of Illinois. We go through Illinois a lot, don't we?
Yes, we do. we wave at all of you every time we drive through on our way to Kansas.
We do. Hey, everybody.
All right, y'all. Let's dive into it. So, let me ask y'all a question. Now, this couldn't be rhetorical because you're like on a 10-second delay, so I'll probably answer the question for you before you answer it, but you're welcome to put your answers in the comments, okay? What is the goal of the mainstream media? What is the goal of the mainstream media? Now, I would like for you to put your answers in the comments because I'm going to tell you, but I would like to know what your opinion is on the goal of the mainstream media. So the mainstream media is what?
I can answer.
Do it.
No, you go ahead. You're on a roll.
No, you already interrupted me, so go on.
The mainstream media is the communication arm of the Democrat Party, right? They're nothing more than the spokespeople for the Democrat Party. They sell fear, they sell propaganda for the left. They move their policies, they move their narratives. I'm sorry, they use narratives to move the policies of the left.
Uh-huh.
And that's why, as the Democrat Party moves further and further left, the media seems to follow them. I mean,
yep.
It's no longer the age of Walter Cronkite and some of the folks that would tell you who, what, when, where, why, and how. Now they just say how. They just tell you how to think.
How
the
to feel.
Mainstream media, you got it. That's it.
How to think, how to
Sarah
feel,
Palin.
how your friends should think and feel, and how your grandma should think and feel. That's what they tell you. That's it. It's all about feelings. How many times have I talked to you guys about feelings, identity politics, and feelings go hand in hand like this? And that's what the left has, and that's what the left uses. And we're going to get into that, about how they have that and how they use it. So their big push right now is to defund law enforcement, right? Yep. So they want to create lawlessness. Lucas, why
chaos.
would they want to do that?
Well, because typically the way they see it anyway is chaos and confusion and lawlessness leads to an outcry for
Mhm.
somebody to fix it. And guess who's always there after creating the drama to assure us that they know how to fix the drama?
The
The
media.
left, every time. The Democrat Party, the media, they always have the answers after they create the problems. Imagine that. It's a
Here's the
good
other
business
thing,
to
though.
be in.
Here's my other question. Excuse me. Who are they targeting specifically? Because like the comment section is saying here, they're like, I don't watch mainstream media, they're trash. So who are they going after specifically? It's not us. We don't watch them.
No. It's
Who
the
is it,
mushy
though?
middle. It's the people who only pay enough attention to hear little bits and pieces and confuse themselves, and they need to be told what to think. And let's be honest, there's a lot of people watching right now who don't feel that way anymore, but once upon a time were part of
Yeah,
that group. Folks in the middle who are only there because they haven't educated themselves yet. And that's who the
right.
media prey on. That's
That's
who
right.
the Democrat Party preys on. And it's sad because it's not that difficult to find factual information. It's not that difficult anymore to hear both sides of an argument and make up your own mind using some sort of common sense. It's just not that hard. And people either don't have the time, they don't make the time. I know a lot of people, especially people in that 18 to 40-year-old demographic, that they're either too busy doing something else, or they don't think it's that big of a deal, or they don't think they can do anything about it. I mean, they got a million reasons, right? But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, they just don't pay that much attention. So they're susceptible to the emotional argument because that's one that doesn't require them to think. When Harry Reid says something like, we really want the police to be guardians rather than warriors. There's a lot of things we'd rather have a sociologist work through than a guy with a gun and a holster. To somebody who's not paying any attention, that sounds careful and thoughtful and genuine,
It
when it's
sounds like it's in
really
their
a
feelings.
crock of absolute crap. What does
Mhm.
it, a guardian rather than a warrior? How many times has a guardian not had to be a warrior?
Every
I
time.
mean, that's the whole point. If you're a guardian, if you're a guard dog in a junkyard, you don't do anybody any good if when somebody finally breaks into the junkyard, you just stand there and guard and watch. You have to fight. You have to protect. It involves an undertone of violence.
Yep.
Period. I mean, you and I talked earlier about the idea of detente, mutually assured destruction. What got us through the Cold War was the fact that both sides knew if they pulled that nuclear trigger, the other side would too. The threat
Right.
of violence kept us all safe.
Yep.
And that's just not their worldview. It's not the left's worldview. They don't believe it. They believe in creating the kind of,
Non-forceful law enforcement systems.
yeah, which is completely nonsense. There's so much nonsense built into that. We don't even know where to start.
We can't even register it on the nonsense scale. It's so high. Okay, so from that, let's talk about this article about this infant that was shot in a standoff with police officers and the baby's father who abducted the child. But let's go back a little bit before that in the situation. The man who abducted his child killed the mother of the child and also his own nephew, then abducted the child, then took off fleeing. The police were chasing him in connection with that. They were pretty sure that he had the infant. So they tried every other measure they could to get the vehicle stopped because they were pretty sure that the infant was in the vehicle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they tried every measure they could. Finally, I don't even know what happened to get this guy stopped. He stops, and then gunfire starts. Gunfire starts all over the place, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he ends up dead. And the baby was life flighted to the hospital. And at first they said that she or he was fine or going to recover. But now
Stable.
we've learned that the baby passed away as well. So obviously they're doing an autopsy report. They're not positive, if it was his bullets or the police bullets. Or my point is, 4 lives were lost. Okay. 2 of them, after this man had killed 2 people and then fled and didn't stop for the police. So the baby and himself both lost their lives. So my question to Lucas was, is the media going to run with this story? And his answer was no. And I'm like, but why?
How can they not? Two African Americans, I believe that, in
Yes.
Louisiana were killed by police, and one was an infant. Surely
Right.
that makes the national news like first thing tonight, right?
Right. That was my thought.
No.
But let's get into it. Now here's where we're going to break it down for you. How the media thinks and responds to situations like this, and the reason why they don't respond to situations like this. Go ahead.
Yes. So they talk about law enforcement reform, and they'll call it a million different things. Trust me when I tell you, they are out there doing focus groups to find out what language generates the most amount of sympathy. So reform usually gets people to think that it's a good thing. People usually think of reform as something that's good. So they're calling it reform. They started with police reform, but see, that didn't quite ring the right tone. So they went with law enforcement reform and whatever. But the point is, there's 2 different kinds of thought. There's 2 different theories on the left side for what they mean by police reform. One group of leftists believe that, and I'll call them the peaceniks or the pacifists, they believe that we shouldn't have any form of law enforcement that involves violence, period. Any kind of administrative law that's broken, like a speed limit or even DUI, anytime that there is a law broken where it doesn't involve violence against people per se in the moment, the law enforcement should take a picture of their license plate and mail them a ticket. No contact whatsoever, because it prevents the idea that there will be any violence. And they have ideas on out and out violence too, how to break up robberies, how to respond to domestic violence situations, on and on and on. And it all comes down to the same thing: peace, peace, peace. No violence, no force ever on the part of the police.
Mm-hmm.
The other side I call the what did I say they were? The race. What was the term I used? I heard this from, I don't know if it was Dan or Rush or whoever it was.
I can't even remember. Erase something.
But anyway, they're the people that make it all about race. It's all about police just shouldn't engage any minority group ever.
Right.
Particularly
Right.
African Americans. Race hustler. There you go.
There you go.
Race
Yep.
hustler. And I give credit to whoever it was I heard that from. I don't know if it was Rush, Dan, Mark Levin. Somebody said race hustler, but that's essentially what these folks are. They make their money, they make their bones literally off of keeping the idea of racism very much alive in the United States. And they've figured out that this play, putting a wedge between the African American community and police, has worked for a long, long time. Clear back in the 90s with NWA saying F the police, and on and on and on from there. It's ingrained in a certain part of that culture. We can get to that one in a second. But the point is, there's 2 different types of groups that want to see this, quote, police reform or law enforcement reform.
Right.
And the reality is, they say these stupid things like police need to be guardians rather than warriors. Law enforcement is not the solution. That came from the new mayor in St. Louis. We need to be investing in communities and all this stuff. And the funny thing is they've said for years that the war on crime, the war on poverty, the war on drugs, essentially throwing as much money as we could muster in the United States at these problems at the community level. They've said for years that that doesn't work. And now they're saying policing doesn't work either. Now we need to go back to giving them more money. And if they're really honest, what they'll really tell you is we've just never tried it enough. We've never given enough money. It's all about money. We give these cities, these inner cities, more money, and that'll solve all the ills in these inner cities. And it's ridiculous. The idea that the root cause is there's not enough money in urban areas to combat what plagues these urban areas is ridiculous, because it's more of a heart problem than a wallet problem. It always has been, it always will be. These, for the most part, people that are this involved in crime have grown up fatherless. They've grown up with no hope. They've grown up where their educational system is totally immersed in the soft bigotry of low expectations. It's not even soft anymore.
Or they're just innocent children they're just innocent children in a McDonald's drive-thru.
Exactly. I mean, there's plenty of examples of times where but that's really the point, right? The point is, the narrative is to move us toward more money for urban areas, more money for blue states, more money for blue cities, more money for Democrat politicians to hand out to their buddies and their friends. And it will never solve the problem. They know it, but it keeps them in power and it keeps them rich. So they're going to keep playing the game and pushing the narrative as far as they can until they find another one. Just is what it is. Yeah, and that's exactly the point. So Charles, I see the pinned comment there. Charles says, okay, so if we move away from the police, from having any kind of violent role, and what I mean is use of force, then how do we break up these cartels and these gangs and all these people that are doing these awful things, that have guns and knives and, you know, tons of people, and they're ready to be violent? If we have a police
According to the left,
we're
going to use social workers. Social workers are going to do it.
Yeah. And what they'll tell you, Kaylee, is they'll say you're throwing in this not nice red herring to point everybody's attention from what our real position is. Our real position is to add social workers to what the police are already doing so they can help de-escalate tense situations. Let me tell you something. I've seen these police in action, and that's what they do from the start. They make every effort.
For.
You saw the video today. That officer that pulled over the woman in LA County did not escalate that situation.
Should I show it again?
Would have. You know, I don't know what good it'll do. People can tell. They knew the second that they turned the video on that this is another example of someone being verbally abusive to a police officer, and the police officer sitting there and taking it better than most of the rest of us would be able to do.
I wouldn't.
And he does it. He did it because that's his job.
Right.
Folks, that's his job. And yes, the scene with Derek Chauvin sitting there on George Floyd engendered sympathy for the folks who think that the police are too hard on criminals. Because in that moment, George Floyd was not being violent to anybody. He was just being crazy because he was on drugs. And I've seen those situations before. Long before I ever met Kaylee, I broke up a potential nasty, violent mess between a couple of guys. One guy was busting another guy's car up with a ball peen hammer. And it was about to get violent because one guy was clearly off of his medication or on some kind of drugs. And the other person had come over. It was his car that was getting beat up. They didn't know each other. And the guy was confronting him, and he was about to attack him for, you know, tearing up his car. And I got in the middle of it, de-escalated the situation, and waited for the police to get there. And they did the exact same thing. When this guy started getting unruly, they didn't just throw him to the ground, beat the crud out of him, and arrest him and take him to jail. They recognized the situation and they de-escalated because that's what they're trained to do. And that right there is the best hashtag for the whole situation. Make America think again. If people want to sit there and passively watch pictures on a television screen and think that's the whole story, then we're going to get what we deserve. If people will just sit and think, listen to both sides, use common sense to figure out the situation, we can come up with real solutions. But it's not defunding the only group of people we have out there ensuring that our neighborhoods are as peaceful as they can be with what they've got.
Facts. So we had an earlier question that was, do you think there are actors out there doing these types of things?
Do I?
Yes.
I don't think they need actors. Frankly, I think that the left can certainly put actors in positions to grow narratives, but these stories happen every day all across the country, and there's cameras literally everywhere. So all it takes is some local news station, WHIO, WIBW, KSNT, some local news station gets some video of something that happened in downtown Timbuktu, Georgia, and all of a sudden it's a national news if it fits their narrative. What the mainstream media is really doing, the national media, the left-wing propaganda arm of the Democrat Party is actually doing is they're parsing all the stories out there, everything that comes to them, and they're picking the ones that further their narrative.
Yep.
I don't personally believe that they need actors to do that. There's plenty of bad stuff that happens across the country every day. And when one happens that touches their narrative in a perfect way for them, they put it out there. If it doesn't, then they cover other stuff for a few days and wait till one does, because it always does. I've said for years that we need to secure our schools if we really care about protecting our children. It'd be a simple fix. It's what the TSA did. It's what federal courthouses did. We could do it tomorrow if we really wanted to. Instead, what we do is we sit here and the media waits for the next school shooting, like with bated breath. If you think I'm kidding, go to your local news station, sit in their newsroom if they'll let you, and just listen. And the day that you're there when a school shooting happens, it's almost like they're giddy. They don't sit back and look at it like, oh my gosh, what are we seeing? We need video of this. Oh my gosh, this has to get up first thing at 5 o'clock. We got to get this running. Is there a national feed? I mean, it's wild what you see. It's disgusting, frankly, especially when there's a solution and nobody covers the solution. It's like right now with COVID. How many people are out there in the national media talking about the therapeutics? The real reason why deaths from COVID have fallen through the floor are the therapeutics we're using. Regeneron, bamlanivimab.
The real reason why you're alive today?
The reason I'm alive, remdesivir. I mean, the real thing saving people today, the therapeutics get no press. We're talking about vaccines. We're talking about masks. We're talking about absolute nonsense when the answer is right in front of us. Yep. Medical professionals know it. If you can get them one-on-one, like our neighbor, get them one-on-one and ask them. And what do they tell you? When my family gets sick, they know to call me because I'll get them the bamlanivimab.
Yep.
And I'm like, wait a minute. I know you're a liberal. I know you're out there proclaiming Democrat policies all over the place. Yet I hear you one-on-one privately saying this stuff. I see you. You want me to see you? I see you. I know damn good and well who you are and exactly what you think. That's not what you guys portray in the media. And there's only one reason that someone is duplicitous and double-faced, and that's to get you to buy into something that isn't true. I guess I could drop my headset. I don't know, like mic drop.
Drop your headset and walk away.
It is what it is. You guys all know it. If you have doctors in your family or nurses or anybody else, you know that they've stopped wearing the N95s. Nobody's covering that. It isn't Grey's Anatomy out there where nobody has respirators and ventilators and we're running out of PPE and oh my gosh, the sky is falling. It's none of that crap. It's when is the next shipment of bamlanivimab here? Well, how many doses of Regeneron do we have left? Well, let's do remdesivir and steroids until we get it's handled, folks. It's handled.
Will you respond to this comment?
Mainstream media doesn't have to keep us divided. Small channels like this do the same thing that they do. Well, other than it being absolutely poor grammar, James, hey, what do you want? I mean, you can come on the show anytime you want to, and I'd be happy to debate you. I'll
Hey, can I
always.
send you a link right now? I'll send you a link right now. You can hop on, and I'd love to hear why you think we're dividing people. You let me know,
Absolutely.
James. I'll send you a link right now, brother.
Yeah,
I would
right.
love to have you on here, especially with
is
Lucas on.
Is that crickets chirping that I hear? Yeah, that's right. I assumed as much. Because
Yeah.
hey, I've got friends on Facebook that are liberal too, and they don't want to have any kind. They don't want to come anywhere near the discussion
Nope.
about COVID and the realities behind it because they know the truth. They're not stupid. If you guys are out there watching this show and you think that you're like the only person in the world that has figured out that therapeutics are the answer to COVID and not this vaccine, you're crazy. They all know the answer. They know it as sure as they're sitting in their chairs. They know it. I mean, the most liberal doctors on the planet that I know, you know what they'll say to you? Trust me when I tell you this. I've got friends. Yeah, you. That's who I'm talking to. I've got friends that are doctors on Facebook right now, nurses and doctors. I'm going to say what they tell me. Wait till people find out about the boosters they're going to have to take of the vaccine every 6 months. Wait till people find out that you'll lose your hair in 1 out of 150 cases when you take the vaccine. I mean, on and on and on and on. The dirty little secrets that don't ever make it, anywhere are the stuff that, they'll tell you if you listen to them offline, off the record, but they don't want to lose their jobs any more than the police do, who don't want to tell you the real story about what happens to them every night. So they just sit back and they allow it. And you know what they
Right.
become? They become the silent majority. The same people who elected Donald Trump twice. Yes, I said it. Those are the people who will vote again and again and again. Trust me. The silent majority is not going to stay silent when it comes to election day. They just won't. The day they do is the day we're in a lot of trouble.
Amen.
Sorry, James.
I don't know where James is at. I told him I'd send him a link, but he I guess he's not interested, so.
Poor James.
Oh, James.
What else
Sorry
you got?
for you,
What
buddy.
other questions we got coming out there?
Let's see. Well, I had one from Autumn that I had pulled up and it never got answered. She was asking about what I suppose what she was saying is that what does the left expect police officers to do in the case where that girl was getting ready to stab another girl, and the police officer shot her? Who's going to defend her if we get rid of the police? Nobody. She's going to die.
I mean, that's exactly right. And did the media that showed up to the scene of that crime, did they ask the person who was about to be stabbed or her mom what she thought of the whole thing? No. That doesn't fit into our narrative. Getting a person up there to say that police officer saved my life, I was about to be killed, and he saved my life, does not help their narrative, not even a little. And that's why I told people I think he deserves a commendation for what he did. He saved someone's life right there on video, right in front of us. Just as much as the police officers who pull the people down who are about to jump off of a bridge. He deserved a commendation. I hope he gets one. Knowing the city of Columbus, it's not likely, but we can hold our breath. But there, that's all over the country. Police officers saving people's lives all the time. And it doesn't matter what color your skin is. If you're in front of them and you're in danger and they can save you, they will, because that's their job. In fact, it's the major exception to the rule when somebody cowardly, like the SRO at the Parkland shooting, turns tail and runs. Because most of the police officers out there working every single day to keep us safe do their jobs.
That's right.
Yeah, we don't even know their name. You're exactly right, Nay. We don't. And we never will. Because the only name they want us saying is the one that was shot by the police officer.
That's right.
Sad, sad day.
So, before we hop off here, we're at the 30-minute mark. Listen, I know there's a lot of people, they don't like long episodes, so I try to keep it around 30 minutes or under 30 minutes. But here's what I want you to do. I'm challenging you guys right now. I want you to start tagging. So put the @ symbol and write the name of any police officers that you're friends with on Facebook, I want you to drop them in the comments right now. Everybody you got, anybody you can think of that's a police officer, please tag them in this post right now. I want to start seeing the names flying in. We're going to do something fun here. Anybody you can think of that's a police officer that is on your friends list, tag them.
I think that name is pronounced Sally Robbins. She has the name, the girl in pink was Tiana Bonner. So Tiana, we see you too.
Your life matters,
Yes.
darling. Your life
We got
matters.
Mike Hughes, Bobby Russell. We're starting to see some of these names.
There we go. Shelly, that's my girl. We're gonna scroll through. I'm gonna click these comments. We're gonna recognize all these people.
They're coming in fast. Captain Jerry Hughes. You know, we've got Jake Cobbler and name some of the folks that we know from back in Topeka.
Oh man, there's a bunch of them. I can't even think off the top of my head right now because I'm trying to make sure I get all these names pulled up. Chelly is very loved.
Jason Dunderdale.
Jason Dunderdale, that's one. Yep.
Vic Riggins. I'm just thinking of some of the folks that I know. Here's all I can tell you. You folks out there have our support. You have our prayers every day. You may not know our names and we may not know your names, but we're praying for you. And we'll stand in the gap any chance we get. Now, I know
right.
The Back to Blue rally in Columbus got canceled. Marjorie, if you're listening, I wish you'd have called me first. I would have given you a much better idea than that. We don't need to be canceling these rallies. We need to be having them every weekend. You folks that are out there risking your lives every day and wearing the uniform in the face of all the adversity you've got right now, I give you all my respect. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
Mine too. So every single person's name that's on here, every single one of them, right? This is for all of them. If I could stand without you guys staring at my sweatpants, I would. I am here to tell you right now,
Del Stout.
men and women in blue, you are loved, you are seen, you are respected. We see you, we love you, we respect you. And don't you dare let the left steal that. You hold the line. Hold the line. Men and women in blue, we have got your back. We will stand in the gap. We are not giving up on you. We don't think less of you. We love you. We love you. You have no idea how much. We are grateful for you each and every single day. I pray for each and every one of you.
Amen.
Thank you all so much for your service. If I could shake every one of your hands, I would do it right now. So, for those of you who had names to put in here, I want you to send a message to those people and thank them for being a police officer because it's a thankless job right now. So do it, please. Back the blue. We love you, the blue. We love you, Patriots. God bless you all. God bless America. And we will talk to you guys next time.